Okay, cool. This is what I expected. Can you hear me? Oh my goodness. um, Hopefully the sound is at least working. Let me see if I can fix my camera. Alright, you can possibly see me now. And you can possibly also hear me. I apologize for the scuffed nature of this stream. I tried to go live a half hour ago, and Twitch was like, nah. Why? If you're wondering why more people haven't gone live, I was actually unable to stream for the last half hour. Hang on, I gotta fix my chair. I was getting an error saying that my OBS could not connect to my Twitch. And we contacted some of our other streamer friends to see if they were having similar errors, and apparently it was going on OBS and Streamlabs, so that was fun. And I had essentially given up on the idea of streaming this morning when Ghost came running up the stairs to say that his had started working, so... hello friends, hello Total Sapphic Panic, hello Y, hello Marathon, hello Virtual Digigirl, how are you? What is up? So if you're looking at your Twitch dash and thinking, man, there's not a lot of people online right now, that could be why. Clearly Twitch is trying to change something. I heard something about OBS trouble. Yeah, my OBS just would not connect to my Twitch for about half an hour. We had some friends that were having the same issue. And it's working now. I don't know for how long, so I apologize if this is like the world's most scuffed stream. If there's anything, if I sound weird, if there's anything weird with the stream, please let me know. Because I kind of just hit connect and hit start stream without really checking all the things I usually check, because I was like, it's gonna break again in 5 minutes. So hopefully that's not the case, but good morning. It's morning for me. Good time zone, whatever time zone it is for you. Sorry, I wanted to be live 50 minutes ago, and here we are, 10 to 11, no work done. Great start to the day. Stayed up way too late last night because of streaming? Oh yeah, I know that feeling. Hey, Exiled Faye. I'm at work too, but my job is pretty easy. Nice. Nice, nice. I'm gonna be a bit more talky today than I am usually on streams. If you guys want me to run some writing sprints, I will. We're actually doing some world building for my new project. So this week, I released the final book in my Eternity's Empire series. If you hit exclamation new release, it will bring up the link for that. And I'm basically working on outlining the project that is going to come after that. So the project that I'm going to be writing, editing, publishing, sort of the slot filler for all of the work that I was putting into that. All those work slots are now going to this new project, which is called Everyone's Child. And yesterday on stream, yesterday afternoon, we actually did the 3 main characters. We actually created them. So I have the notes for them here. These are the 3 main characters that are going to be sort of focused on in the story. And now we have some secondary characters that I want to make. So we're going to be on Pinterest a lot today, as we were yesterday, because I've sort of started a preliminary board with some inspiration ideas for this project. This is the inspiration that we used for Elaith, the main character. She is the daughter of everyone's mother, the creator goddess, and she's sort of supposed to fulfill a prophecy. So she's our main character. And then we have Jaolin. This was our inspiration for Jaolin. He is a magic user and explorer who is sort of infected by shadow magic. So he sort of has some connection to a powerful magic or a powerful mage-like being. He's not sure which. And he can't quite escape from it and isn't quite sure what it's going to do to him. And he has been sent to interfere with Aleath's quest. He's also our potential love interest. And then we have Ciri, who doesn't have so much a regular picture, but she's sort of really good at using illusion magic and sort of cloaking herself in shadows and moving invisibly. So this was kind of the inspirational image for her. And she is a goddess in training. She's part of a cult called the Watchers. And they have basically also sent her to interfere with Aleath's quest. And she is sort of doing that from the shadows. She's a bit more of a cold, impersonal character. She cares more about power and ambition than emotions. And she sort of shed all of her previous connections when she joined the Watchers. So that sort of catches everyone up to what we did yesterday. And if I'm being a bit brief, it's just because I'm really keen to get going on this stuff and I was so late getting started. My favorite thing. Same here, OBS would just randomly disconnect and crash on me, and then I would have audio issues after connecting to restream seems to help. Yeah, I couldn't even get it to connect to my account. It was just saying that it failed to load the channel information. So it's working now, fingers crossed. Now that I'm actually in the right chat, I dropped a custom character chart I like to use in the Discord. Nice! Deliberately, absurdly over-engineered, you're not expected to use all of it. That's cool, though, because that lets people choose the parts that are good for them, right? I love those sort of things. I used to have tons of them on my hard drive until I kind of found the system that worked best for me. So I love those things, because it thinks of everything for you, and then you can just pick the areas that are useful to you. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also, how are you? And sorry about the scuffed beginning of stream. Oh my goodness. So, today we're gonna do, you can see that I kind of have a list. Oh, you can't see because it's, it's hidden. You can see that I have a list of characters that we're working on, building. And the next three are they sort of have dual roles in the book, and I'm starting to notice that duality is kind of a theme in this series. Everyone sort of has a dual goal or serves a dual purpose, and so these three, Wings, Hellfire, and Beastmaster, are at first obstacles, challenges that are placed in our main character's path, but once their obstacle is overcome, they sort of become guardians and guides for Aleath on this journey that she's on. If you want to take a look, it's in the writer's chat. I definitely will take a look. I just want to I want to talk a little bit about Wings, but we're definitely going to take a look. So, I mentioned yesterday that I started this story back in college, and I wrote about 11,000 words of it, and then I just kind of was not happy with it and set it aside and was like, I'll get back to it later, and now 15 years later, I'm picking it up again. And I had only ever really written the introduction to the story. I hadn't gotten very far in, but I had made a list of chapter titles. And one of the chapter titles was called chapter titles that I wanted to use, because that was how I used to plan my novels, was like, that sounds cool, I'll just use that. So one of the chapter titles that I had written down was called 3 Sleeping Nights. And so Wings, Hellfire, and Beastmaster are sort of the evolution of that idea of these 3 sleeping nights. They are these beings that are asleep in a cave, and Aleath is going to stumble into them on her journey. She's supposed to stumble into them on her journey. And these characters are not your typical, like, people. They're sort of remnants from the time of the creator goddess. They are little pieces of her creation or little pieces of the magic at the time that she created this world that have been personified and given physical form. So they're not any of the traditional fantasy races, and you can probably see here that I've made the note full biblical angel form, because I want to go really weird with these characters and really sort of conceptual with them. And so I want them to have forms that we understand, right? Forms that look humanoid. But I also want them to have, hey, Neo, how are you? I also want them to have another form that is bizarre and difficult to comprehend, and sort of like, if you think of how angels were originally described in the Bible as like wheels of fire or like thousands of eyes, I basically want wings to have a form that's like wing, just all these wings, tons of wings everywhere. And of course he doesn't stay, or they don't stay in that form all the time because it would kind of wreck people's brains. But I also decided that I want all three of these characters to be non-binary because they're conceptual, they're basically concepts given form. And so I don't think they ascribe to any of like, you know, they're not necessarily a male entity or a female entity. They kind of embody anything that they need to embody at the time. So we're gonna work on them. I only have a couple of pictures in the Pinterest for them. So this is what I'm thinking for Wings' humanoid form. I'm going to give them a name. That's not Wings, but I think Wings will be their nickname. This is sort of an idea for their physical form where they would have a few too many wings, but not like an insane amount of wings. And then we have like the idea of the full biblical angel, and I'm hoping it will link to a few other pictures down here that are really super funky. So the idea would just be that there'd just be wings everywhere. Wings, and the wings would have wings, and all the wings. I feel like a potato, Neo. I feel you. Is it your day off? Are you able to rest? There we go. So this is what Total Sapphic Panic posted. Very comprehensive. I like the how old does he, she appear, because often when you're writing fantasy characters, they aren't the same age that they look, so I like that those are separate things. So we got hair color, hairstyle is a good one too, because some people do have a typical way of wearing their hair. Oh, I like the voice, the inclusion of voice. That's something I don't always think of until like I'm in the middle of writing something and I'm like, what does this character sound like? Good personality traits, bad personality traits, also very good. Primary personality trait when under pressure. I like that one too. That's one that you usually don't think of until the heat of the moment as well. And then we've got favorites and habits. How he, she would spend a rainy day. What does he, she do too much of or too little of? I like those ones too. Ooh, daredevil or cautious? Logical or emotional? Ooh, I like the self-perception section as well, because outward personality is often different than inward personality. And what a person can present to the world a very confident, cool, collected figure, but actually be a total mess inside. So I really like this part too. Like, how does the character perceive themselves? And does that match sort of what they show to the rest of the world? Nice. One other thing that you can do if you're... We won't do this today because it takes a super long time. But if you're ever like trying to create a character and you're struggling with it, there's a thing, I believe it's called Myers-Briggs. Yeah. If you take a look at the Myers-Briggs personality test, this is, you've probably seen the answers for this, like people talk about it a lot. I am an INFJ, which is actually very rare. I use the 16 personalities test instead, which is listed. Yes, I saw that. And also very good. Any of these personality types are tests are really good. They can be long, they can be comprehensive. I've been through it a few times, so I can usually get through it pretty quickly. But it's really helpful because it will give you, and the 16 personalities test is here as well. And so you basically, it fits, it kind of spits out like an archetype of like character, right? And so there are things like the counselor or the architect, or the scholar and things like that. And it sort of gives you a really broad and general idea in a lot of ways of what a person of how a person may act or how a person may think. But it's really helpful for characters because it can help you figure out some of those things, like when we were looking at this part, like the self-perception and all that kind of stuff, and the traits. It can really help you fill those out without struggling like to come up with stuff out of nowhere, because it'll tell you like people who are this way tend to also be this way. And again, you don't have to follow it. It's not a specific like, you don't have to make everything about that fit your character, but it can be helpful for giving you a really rough sketch that you can then sort of fill out. And I've actually done the Myers-Briggs test with some of my like really well-developed characters, and some of them are like bang on. Everything in the personality type like fits them, and I didn't even plan that. So sometimes it's really cool, sometimes it's a little freaky, but this is nice. I like this. This is really good, and you can just take the ones that are useful to you. Thank you for sharing that, Total Sapphic Panic. That's really good. Neo's personality, weird dude. Hey, you can build off that, Neo. Oh my goodness. So I think we'll start with, and I like going around these sort of parts of Pinterest because it can spit out some really interesting things. Like here's another one where there's a lot of wings. And I'm just kind of looking for ones that are, this might actually be good for later, ones that are sort of not necessarily typical. I think these are mostly humanoid form ones. But lots of people who are way better artists than me have already conceptualized this idea a lot, so it gives you sort of a jumping point for descriptions. Like this, right? Just something that is just like a mess of wings. So it's kind of what I'm going for, to sort of have a form that is very just not really, doesn't really fit of what you would think of as a being. Did you read the other thing I posted? I did not get a chance to because I actually went straight from stream to D&D last night, and then I woke up this morning and went straight into this stream. So I know it probably sounds weird that I haven't had like a free moment since yesterday afternoon, but I am planning to, because AB Coffee, Lee Green, also posted something on the Discord that I've been trying to get to. So I'm going to do that this afternoon as soon as I'm done with this stream. I have a moment to breathe. It was one of those weird things that I just kind of ran over last night, and then D&D, we were like, we're not going to do a super long session, and then it was 11:30 by the time we were off the computer, and we were like, all right, it's time to sleep. I was like, Neo, enjoy the lurk. It was a good D&D session. I think I made people cry again, not intentionally, but yeah, we were just kind of planning for it to be a short and easy one, and it just kind of, we got into things, and it was a really good character episode. So, and then I was like, oh, maybe on today's stream I'll have some extra time, and then I spent half an hour trying to get OBS working. It's been one of those weeks where when I look back over everything that's going on this week, I'm kind of like, this week didn't seem like it was going to be this crazy, but it just has been. I should use that chart for my main character for a long-term project could be useful. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have some really, I don't tend to, so this is the template that I use now. We were using this yesterday. I tend to use a really streamlined one now because what I've learned is that if I get a basic idea for a character, I flesh them out while I'm writing, and then I come back and just update it. But I have some really detailed, like character bios for some of my characters that fit sort of like that chart. And I do like them. They do make you think of things that you don't necessarily think of, like that you wouldn't necessarily consider until you need it, and then it takes a little bit of the panic reaction out of it. So I do want to give this character a name that is not Wings. And I think I've shown on this stream in the past. That's a nice, kind of weird one too, although it centers on a human figure. This one's really good too. Just wings everywhere, and this guy has the like circle of eyes, right? That's very biblical too. I've shown on stream before that when I need names, I use name generators. So nice on tap fantasy name generator fantasynamegenerators.com. Very good. Let's see if they have angel names. Interesting. I like, this would be Tatraciel. I like that. Angel name generator will give you 10 names of angels from various religions and stories. These angel names are great for fantasy stories. So these are like, are these like real angel names then? If I Google this, is it gonna give me like Christian angel names? Interesting. So this is a real, like, biblical name. Great Angelic Prince. Interesting, interesting. Persons with the name Tatraciel play the role of peacemaker. Gives them excellent diplomatic abilities. Balance and equilibrium are their focus. Greatest success comes through playing a supportive role and being a mediator. Was just thinking that, like, if I would Google these and get real names. Bard! Thank you so much for the 69 bits! How are you? What is up? Letter analysis. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So what if we do... So that does come up under the neutral names. Talantes. Amitiel. So if I Google this, am I gonna get it? It's blowing my mind that there's sort of like actual Mitiel is an angel whose intelligence originally came from Archangel Gabriel. Gabriel sent Mitiel to work in another part of the 7th dimension. What? The name of Hebrew origin means truth of God. Interesting. So this would be like the embodiment of truth. Interesting. Religion is my domain. Have you heard of these angels before, Neo? Very mystical and mysterious people. Old souls that possess great wisdom and insight. Interesting. I honestly thought if I Googled this, I would get no results. Interesting. How to pronounce?
Tatrasil.
Tatrasil. Okay. Does this one have how to pronounce? Okay, well I think I really like Tatrasil, so maybe we'll use that one. Very interesting. A hydrate for Pi. Thank you so much, Pi. I just realized it's 11 o'clock and I haven't eaten yet today. Mercedes, thank you so much for the raid. How are you? Hello. Creativity never ends. That is true. That is true. Moonflower, thank you so much for the follow. Bard, do enjoy your food. Very important to eat. I would also mix and match the syllables. That's true. That's something I do with name generators a lot. I do like the idea of this being an actual angel name, though. It's not from the Bible or in a censored version book of the Bible. Vatican does that a lot. Yeah, I had never heard of any of these angel names, honestly. I do kind of like the idea that it's a real name. Siobhan, hello. How are you? How was your stream? Miss 80s, I'm sorry. I skipped right from saying hi to someone and then saying the next thing to the next person without even a comma, because that's where my brain is today. It's been one of those mornings. Did any of you encounter the issue with Twitch this morning? I wasn't even able to turn on my stream for like 30 minutes. I'm here now, and I'm happy about it, but it just seems like Twitch was having a bit of a meltdown this morning. There are 12 versions of the Book of the Apocalypse. Yeah. There are whole Gospels that were cut out of the Bible. And there are versions, I mean, the version of the Bible that we have as like the official Bible today, and I mean, I guess it depends what church you are, because there's what is it, is it the NFT version, and then there's the King James version, which the first Bible that I had was a King James Bible, and even those Bibles are different. So Fox Rider, hello, how are you? What is up? Gotta raid and run. Ned is being a bugger. No problem, I totally understand. Thank you so much for dropping by though, and I hope your internet behaves. I hope it stops being a little bugger. Sorry guys, I'm still in, I've only had a few sips of coffee, and I'm still trying to recover from having to do all the fighting with freaking OBS this morning. So if I'm a little all over the place, I apologize. Caught up on my short story goal. Nice! Hoping to be ahead by the end of the day if I can get my brain to turn back on. Good luck. If you learn the secret to that, let me know. I think I like this one. So, can I spell it? That's the question. Let me just put this over here for a second. So... Tetraseal, and then, we'll keep... Wings as sort of the nickname. I'm thinking that's what these other two call them. A hydrate for pie. Ooh, we got an ears redeem. Not in any of the versions? Where's the ultimate truth if there are many versions? Exactly. Not in any of the specific versions. God is a Computer Bible V1.1, then 2P8. Did I say 2P8? Hang on. I have to pop AFK for 1 second. Sorry about that. Ears. Ghost just got back from feeding our friends' cats, and apparently the first day he was there, they wanted nothing to do with him, but now he's fed them for a few days, so they're all like super happy. Uh-oh. Bots. Let me take care of that. Sorry about this, friends. Is there another one? Yes. Alright. We got rid of them. They are gone now. The bots came just as I went AFK. They were watching. I'm afraid I can't say your name properly, so I apologize in advance for murdering it. Is it, Elenisht? That's probably horribly wrong. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Please tell me how to say your name properly. Let me get ears on here for Pi. Halo, hello, how are you? I've got a hydrate and a stretch from Halo that I missed when I went AFK. We will get those in a minute. Gonna lurk while I play some Remnant. Enjoy, enjoy. How is FDID commenting when they've already been suspended? It's German. I figured, that's why I figured it's a like sh at the end, but I was like, I don't actually speak German, so I feel like I don't know how to put the letters together. The hydrate and stretch was from when you got back. Perfect. Let's do that then. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry I'm so all over the place today, my friends. I'd like to say it's not my default state, but it kind of is. All right, and we got some hydrates. I also spelled this name wrong because there's supposed to be an R in it. So I moved it so I would spell it right. T-A-T-R-A-S-I-E-L, and I still spelled it wrong. All right, so we're gonna have actually two physical descriptions for this character. We're gonna have their sort of humanoid form, and then we're gonna have their like celestial form. And I actually think the celestial form is going to be much harder to describe just because it's supposed to be very conceptual. So I might start with something rough and then fill it in later, but I think we're going to go with something like do I have it up here? Let's just go back. I think we're gonna go with something like this. Kind of almost what you would traditionally think of, like what we'd now sort of traditionally think of as an angel, and sort of like that triple wing sort of high from high in the ranks of like what we now typically think of as the angels, and then the celestial form will just have wings everywhere. We have a lot of dark-haired people in... Not that I should necessarily decide people's descriptions based on everybody, but I don't want everybody to look the same. So I might give him lighter colored hair. Maybe like, not blonde hair, but like a light, like very light brown, like a ruddy cream sort of color. We do have a redhead, Fox Rider. Siri is a redhead. So russet gold, yeah, that's a good color description. Venom green. Save the venom green for Beastmaster. That might be good. Yeah, like a honey color. So, a humanoid form, tall, slender, not overly muscular. Pale skin, pale blue eyes. I think I might actually just say russet honey. I know we're mixing metaphors there, but it gives me the idea of what I'm looking for. So we're giving them 3 sets of wings, which of course they're magic wings, so they don't like interfere with each other, even though they move all independently. I think that's about it for the humanoid form. And then we're gonna have their celestial form. Three sets of wings. One of those sets could be on the ankles or the heels. I mean, in their celestial form, they just have wings everywhere. I'm thinking that they might still have like a core. So I was thinking something, I keep clicking on spots, something like this, where they kind of still have a sort of core form. But then instead of having torso like that, having just sort of being mostly wingy. And just so kind of like a central shape, and then out of that, just wings from everywhere. Done a bunch of brain work, filled out half the sheet, and need a break. Nice! That's a lot of work to fill out half that sheet. Okay. We're not gonna do like the halo or anything like that, because even though we're looking at like traditional like concepts of like angels, they're not an actual angel. It's just the form. We don't really have, I don't think there are really angels and demons so much in this world, but there are things that take form that are similar to what we think of in our world as angels and demons, if that makes sense. We talked yesterday about how in this world, magic isn't necessarily good or evil. There's no, like, good magic and evil magic. It's magic just is, and then people use it for good things or bad things. And so it's kind of the same. I have these two characters. One kind of looks like a traditional angel type, like, appearance, but they're not necessarily the embodiment of good. And then we have we're going to have a character next, Hellfire, who's going to be kind of what we traditionally think of as demonic in nature, but they're not necessarily evil. They just embody different traits. So I'm thinking like a conical, maybe. Again, I'm not quite sure. What's the word I'm kind of looking for? So I've even specified that in celestial form, Tetrasail doesn't have something that looks like a traditional face. They're basically just a figure shrouded in wings and with many flapping wings, yet they can see and speak and communicate. They seem to just like resonate a voice when they speak. And so Tetrasail can take a more humanoid form in order to be more comprehensible and easy to communicate with for us mere mortals. So I was thinking about this last night, and I kind of wanted to go, because I kind of wanted to have a clear idea for all three of these characters before I started them, because as I said, they're supposed to present a challenge, but later they're supposed to sort of serve as guardians. And I didn't want to do, like, good, evil, and neutral, because I feel like those concepts are overdone, especially in fantasy or anything that touches on, like, a type of religion in fantasy. So I wanted to think of more of aspects of humanity, of things that we sort of embody, or aspects of our life that are sort of opposing forces, but sort of essential to our core. And so, for example, I thought that Beastmaster kind of represents the primal, sort of our roots as instinctual creatures, and our connection with nature, our connection with the environment around us, with animals, with plants, and the environment in general. So sort of this, like, all of these things that in a modern society we've kind of pushed to the side, because now we live in, you know, giant wooden squares, and, you know, we maybe bring a cactus in every now and then. So the idea is that Beastmaster sort of represents that connection to the wild things and the wild magic of the earth. And then we have Hellfire, who has this sort of more demonic, traditionally demonic form. And so I'm thinking that I don't want to stray too much into, like, good traits and evil traits, right? But the idea of Tetrasail being sort of those things that we tend to think of as virtuous, not in the sense of, like, religion, but the things that we tend to exalt as certain traits like honesty or integrity or honor, right? So Tetrasail is very much, what you see is what you get. You're always going to get the blunt truth, which sometimes isn't always a good thing, because sometimes too much honesty can be a bad thing. But you're always going to sort of get the blunt, honest truth. You're always going to get a specific type of reaction based on rules or order, right? Sort of this idea of, from chaos, we have these specific things that guide us, whereas Hellfire is a little bit more flexible, a little bit more go with the flow, might make their own rules, or you know, this is sort of not necessarily deception, but a more sort of somebody who would be more confident putting on different faces in different company, or changing their mind more often instead of having that kind of confidence. Not necessarily, one is not necessarily better than the other, they're just sort of different perspectives. So the two of them are kind of opposites in many ways, and then Beastmaster is sort of the balance, sort of the glue that ties the group together. they're all friends, obviously. So I think Tetrasil is very logical and very straightforward, very honest, very honorable. These are sort of what Tetrasil represents. And then when we get into Hellfire, we have more emotion and more passion. And so we start to see the difference between the two of them, whereas Tetrasil will always act cautiously. Hellfire would always be more spontaneous and more willing to take risks, whereas Tetrasil is very much more oriented on protection and defense. So it's kind of hard, because these are like high concept things. It's kind of hard to distill that down into like a specific personality. But that's what we're gonna go for. So too much honor can also bite you in the ass. Yeah, exactly. And I think that while Tetrasil is more predictable because they follow a strict code of honor, they can also be sort of trapped in that code of honor or become stubborn because of it. And I want it to be that way, right? I want there to be good things about each character and more negative. Like, they each have positive and negative traits, because we're not trying to have one character who's all positive and one character who's all negative. We're trying to show the positive and negative sides of all of these traits, right? Honesty in small doses. And I mean, obviously, if there's something big you need to be honest with someone about, absolutely. But sometimes we tell little white lies for a reason. Sometimes the truth would just hurt people. And so that's sort of what I'm going for with these characters, is the duality of, certain natures, right? Just because somebody is forthright, that doesn't mean that they're always going to make the right choice, right? Or say the right thing or do the right thing. I think we've had ears for at least 5 minutes. They're starting to hurt my head. They're very, the headband is very tight and it pushes in. Too much honor I did read that. I was like, wait a minute, did I read that? I did. Oops. Shadows. Tetrasil always honest, straightforward, makes decisions based on logic, caution, and defense. I spelled their name wrong again. Someday I'm going to spell this name right. And we've got a hydrate. Thank you so much. All right. So we basically have someone who is logical, cautious, always tells the truth, even when truth is a bitter pill to swallow. So they're the kind of person where, like, if you're super scared and you're like, oh my god, we could die, he'll be like, yeah, it's very likely that we could die, and then pat you on the shoulder. He's not going to be like, it'll be okay. He's going to be like, the chances are it's going to be horrific. Have a good day. That's who this person is, right? They follow a strict code of honor, which makes them predictable and dependable, but also rigid and inflexible. They're not particularly empathetic, although they are kind. They struggle with expressing sympathy. They'll always act in defense and never attack unless provoked. I think that's kind but blunt, and that's kind of what we're going for here. Imagine telling the truth wouldn't be me never. Pie, you're far sweeter than you ever let on. All right, now skills. I think of these three characters, Tatrasil is probably the one that we would consider the most traditionally paladin-like. Very skilled with a sword. You know, good with weapons combat and as a defender. And then obviously they're all going to have their celestial abilities. So as wings, I imagine Tatrasil would be the embodiment of air, would use a lot of air-related magic. I ask which personality should definitely be represented in a book. I mean, that kind of depends on... It kind of depends on what your story is about, right? So this is a particular story about... I mean, it's going to touch on religion and how religion interacts with the culture, because we have the daughter of a goddess. We have a goddess who is possibly hiding in the background somewhere or being summoned back from wherever she's gone. And so to me, I think it's important to kind of pull on some of the threads that we would traditionally associate with religion, but I want to turn them a little bit on their heads. So I am representing a somewhat angelic personality, but showing that it's far from perfect. Whereas I want to also represent what we sometimes think of as a demonic personality, but also show its positive traits. So I think it kind of depends. If you're writing a romance, you would want your characters to be very down-to-earth, relatable in terms of, you know, what their living situation is or what their romantic situation is. I definitely think it's important for each character to be identifiable in some way, which means that there has to be something about your character that allows others to sort of connect with them. And so with Aleith, we kind of, our main character, we kind of talked about how everybody else kind of has these ideas of who she should be and how she should act, and she's kind of rebelling against that, right? And I think that living in our society today and having expectations thrown at us from all sides, from, you know, our jobs, from our school teachers, from our parents, from advertisements that we see, I think that's something that's really easy to identify with, this idea of so many voices pushing you in so many different ways and trying to just figure out who you are among the cacophony. So I guess that's a really roundabout way of answering the question. But it really depends on your genre, like the story that you're trying to tell. And then you just want to find personality traits that allow your readers to connect with them. And I mean, you can have, like, I have characters in some of my books. I mean, in the Aravalia Chronicles, the big bad is essentially a narcissist. He's not a good person, but he's a good character because he's three-dimensional. So you can have, like, you can have good personalities, you can have bad personalities, as long as your people are three-dimensional, right? Because no one is all one thing, if that makes sense. Although we are going slightly more flat with these particular characters for a reason. They're kind of designed to be, they were designed by a goddess to be a little bit less three-dimensional than typical mortal personalities, if that makes sense. So I've changed my mind like 4 times when I'm trying to write. That must be fun to watch. I can't get my brain to words all of a sudden. Thank you very much. That was helpful. I'm glad. I'm so glad. Sometimes I feel like I ramble so much in answer to these questions, but with writing, it's not always simple. It's not always simple and straightforward. And I definitely don't want people to think I can't write about this type of character because people will find it unacceptable. Like, the key is to find ways to write about those things, even those things that make us uncomfortable, in a way that people will accept. And sometimes stories will make you uncomfortable. Sometimes there are really bad people in stories. But it's important sometimes to have those kinds of people in stories for us to, you know, understand that those people exist and to learn how to deal with those people. So definitely don't want to say like you should do this and you shouldn't do that. But you want to find a way to do it that people will enjoy, right? Because if we tell stories that are too uncomfortable, then people won't read them. So you have to find that middle zone where people can sort of confront the darker things in the world without shying away from them. And I think there are some writers that do that really well. Like, if you've ever read anything by Neil Gaiman, if you've watched The Sandman recently, like, he delves into the darker side of humanity quite a bit. But he's one of my favorite authors, and I love his work. So, so it's definitely all about finding that balancing point where you can stare those things in the eye. I'm gonna keep the skills and abilities section pretty slim for these characters because we know they're celestial avatars. They're probably pretty impressive. I don't necessarily want that to overshadow the more mortal characters in the story. These are sort of secondary characters, so I don't want to say I won't necessarily be fleshing them out as much, but I won't be focusing on their special abilities as much. Because I don't necessarily want the whole story to focus on these ultra powerful beings that might get a little boring or frustrating, right? We want to see our mortal characters, we want to see our fallible characters try to solve problems and be challenged. So I think I'm basically just going to say, you know, they have mastery in a certain area and just kind of leave it at that. And they're all going to have, hey, Supernatural, how are you? What is up? I'm sorry that I was so quiet in your stream the other day. I got so busy, but I lurked. I was lurking. I was hanging out, even though I was quiet. What are you up to today, my friend? So I'm gonna give them all kind of the same history. They were created, they were sort of, I don't even actually know if they were created by the goddess, but I think they were bound by the goddess. I think they are remnants of the old world, of the goddess's world, early in the creation. They were preserved by her, by essentially being put to sleep. That's why they are the 3 sleeping knights. And they are sort of waiting to be awakened so that they can fulfill the purpose that they were set for. And they are meant to sort of challenge the avatar, challenge the daughter of the goddess, and then when or if she is successful, to become her guardians. Which is really simple, but if there's more to them, I think it'll be discovered while I'm writing, and then I will, of course, come back here and put it together. So come on, click in the right spot. Oops, sorry, I am off screen. Let me scroll that up so you can see it. And oops. So it's a little bit more, these were a bit more fleshed out, but I think this is perfect. These are our secondary characters. They are sort of enigmas from an older time. I think they will come to me more as they're written. And I like having, for characters like this, I like having more of a conceptual idea and then sort of letting them grow as I go. Because there's a lot of potential here for them to go in a couple of different directions. And honestly, until I get a better idea of what the plot is going to be, because I kind of have the first part of the plot in my head, but until I get an idea of some of the more specifics, and I'm the kind of writer where I like to have a plan. I like to have a rough idea, an outline of some kind, but I like it to be a flexible outline. I like to go with the flow. If the plan changes midway through whatever I'm doing, I like to embrace that and let it happen. So, I'm developing a plan as we go. Like, the more I talk about these characters, the more I'm sort of figuring out how they fit into the story and what the story is going to be. But at any time, my characters could be like, oh, hey, what if this was the story? And I want to be able to be like, yeah. So I try not to set, I tried to set enough in stone that I have like an idea of where I'm going, but not so much that I will feel sort of trapped. So let's do Hellfire now. And I think they'll get easier as they go because, they're all sort of built around the same concept. So Hellfire is going to be our demonic type. And as I said, this character is much more, since Wings is sort of the logic and honorable one, Hellfire is more of the passionate one, the one who is more likely to be diplomatic, as opposed to dealing with a situation with violence. But probably quicker to anger, less cautious, more of a, you know, hey, let's discover what this is, or let's check that out, even if it's dangerous. Probably more likely to change their minds, but also much more flexible and adaptable to various situations because they have that more sort of flexible state of mind. So I do have, I think we still have a million pictures open for Wings here. So let's close some of these. I'll keep that one open for later. And let's go back, because I do have a couple of pins for Hellfire. So in this case, I kind of just pinned anything that looked a little bit traditionally demonic, but there again are lots of options here. So I really like this one, although I don't know. I mean, we could go with red skin, we could go with blue skin, we could go with pretty much any, I mean, I feel like a demon type character could have any color of skin. I like the idea of horns, like twisty horns, facial hair. There's lots of really good, I feel like this is an area on Pinterest where there is like so many good like art concepts of demon type characters. I'd love to go with like potentially like satyr like feet, like legs. Kind of drawing on a whole bunch of different like traditional demon type traits. Let's see if they have angel names. They've got to have demon names. Let's see. This name generator will generate a wide variety of such names, so there's always something to pick from. So these are not, so unlike the angel names, which were like just sort of scoured from resources, these are actually randomly generated. So let's see. Soren? I have trouble thinking of that as a demonic name. I like Drungalith, actually. I really like that. Usually I don't find names this quickly. I really like that one. Let's write it down. And let's just hit this button again just to see if there's anything I like more. Hey, Shagraz! We are making... Yes! So we made a character that was sort of a biblical angel type character, and now we're making a more demonic type character. They're not actually an angel and a demon, but they kind of have that appearance. Are we making a demon name? We are. I really like this, this one, Drungalith, and I think we're gonna stick with that one. Just one more. Yeah. Let's keep that one. Dazgal appeals to me. Nice. You can use it if you want, Bobicus. Let's name it Megan. Lol, Shograz. So Drungalith. There we go. What are some qualities you want in a president? Honesty would be nice. Little much to ask for, I guess, but honesty would be nice. Integrity. A good, strong sense of morality. Drunkalith, aka Megan. No, Shagraz. What? Why you come in here to sass me, my boy? So now we have to decide, what they're gonna look like. So I think the first thing to decide is if we want to go with, like, the red skin, demon, or if we want to do, like, a blue skin, or we could do something like, we could give them, we could just give them, like, a darker skin tone and then brightly colored hair. Instead of doing brightly colored skin and darker hair, we could do, dark colored skin and a wacky hair color. Although I do think something like green hair would go really well with the Beastmaster. I'm an anti-factory farming and plan on giving local farmers tax break. That's part of my campaign if I ran. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So yeah. And then we've got, these are more sort of the Batwing. I do like the curly horn idea. I'm surprised Shagraz hasn't commented on coloration yet. Usually he has a pretty strong opinion on those things. Exiled Faye, thank you for hanging out so much. Thank you for sending all the love to chat. I appreciate it. This is where indecision always gets me. So many options to choose from. And so we have to keep in mind that they have a humanoid form, and then they have to have a more celestial form as well. So if their sort of nickname is Hellfire, we probably want them to have a more elemental sort of fire kind of aspect. had not planned... I don't think conceptually I had planned the Hellfire aspect as much as I had planned the other ones. I do like this. Now that's pretty cool. Oh, look at this! Look at this! Just a giant ball of fire. I kind of like that. Kind of like it. Kind of like it. Alright, well, if we're going with the fire aspect, maybe we could do red skin and dark hair. I do kind of like, you know, something kind of like this. Or something kind of like... ish. Fire, yes! I mean, their name is Hellfire, so we gotta embrace it, right? The goal right now is to bring down energy prices and simultaneously stop global warming, so I have to study that and come up with a logical and effective plan that doesn't completely wreck the economy. I mean, if you could do that, Megalodon, you would be very popular in a lot of places, I think. Is that your goal, to run for president one day? If so, good luck and more power to you. I cannot handle politics. That's why I make up worlds for a living. All right, so let's start to describe this character. So I think for Tatrasil, we had a much sort of slimmer Fae-like appearance. So for Drungalith, I think we're gonna go with a sort of sturdier, more muscular figure. If I became president, chaos would be upon us. I have no doubt, Pi. The goal is to do, a comic, but I enjoy politics. I'm a studier of humanity. Megalodon, have you checked out my husband, Ghost Pepper? I think you'd get along. That's not how, yeah. I have to shout out Ghost Pepper. Not just type his name. There we go! Check out my husband, Ghost Pepper. I think you would get along. I believe he's planning to stream later today if Twitch doesn't have issues again like it did earlier. And I have to admit, I'm half afraid to touch any of the buttons on my OBS because I'm afraid everything will just spectacularly explode. Alright, so let's say in humanoid form, keep face down. What's happening? Ghost needs me for a minute, so I'm gonna go into BRB mode, and I will, I'm probably gonna take a bio break while I'm gone. So I'll be back to finish up Drungalith and Beastmaster, and then we'll probably have to wrap up the stream, potentially. BRB. guys, sorry about that. I can't say too much on stream, but Ghost is having a bit of a rough day. He is not going to be streaming later today because he got some rough news. But if you're in the Discord, please send some love in his direction. He and I are okay. Just kind of a bad day. It was way over a minute, Pi. I'm sorry. It is very unusual for my husband to message me and say, something came up, I need you. So yeah, send some love to GH0 Roast Pepper today. He just needs some good vibes. He won't be around. Probably, well, he definitely won't be around for the rest of the day. I don't know how long he's planning to stay off stream. But the next time you see him, give him some love, send him some hugs, compliment him till he bursts into flames, because he just needs those good vibes today. So heart goes out to him. So yeah, sorry about that. Little interlude there. Where were we? Creating, I spelled the name wrong. Look at this. Drungalith. Alright, so from the waist up, mostly human, long pointed ears, set of curving horns, and then from the waist down, satyr with furry goat legs. And, hoofed feet. So let's say... I feel like I want Beastmaster to have long hair, and I feel like Wings had long hair, so maybe we'll go with a shorter hair for this one. For, because I kind of like the goatee a little bit more. Not what I wanted to do. Where's my base thing here? Dang, that makes me wish long hair. Not thin. I erased thin and rewrote thin. looking at just now, because I like this idea of, like, horn decorations. I don't like how thin looks. Let me rewrite it. Yeah, I know, right? Like, sometimes I do that like 3 times. I erase a word and I write the same word and I'm like, what am I doing? Fingies get a mind of their own and they just go at it. All right, so I think we have that. We have, so human from the waist up, with pointed ears, curving horns, and then from the waist down, we have satyr, goat-like legs, and hooved feet. And then their skin is a crimson color. The fur is sort of a ruddy red-brown, so kind of that cross between red and like fading towards black. And then we have midnight black hair, cropped short, slim goatee, earrings, and horn decorations. And then for their celestial form, ball of flame is basically what we're going for. I am copying a little bit in form here from the other. This because I did pin this. Alright, pretty easy to describe a giant ball of flames, not gonna lie. Now did I? Yes, so... All right. And then, so we talked about how the personality for Wings, our angel-esque character, was very logical, very sort of rigid, set in their ways, honest, but also blunt. So with Drungalith, we have sort of that passionate side, very playful, very friendly, very sympathetic, but sometimes also indecisive or possibly a little bit manipulative. The sort of person who may say what you want to hear rather than what they really think about a situation. Also the kind of person who persuades but can be more easily persuaded. Versus Tatrasil, who is very sort of set, and once their mind is made up, they're sort of a brick wall. And so we have someone here who's much more of a diplomat, much better at conversation, not necessarily the kind of person who wants to get involved in combat, but can be quick to anger and very violent in their anger when they are angry, very difficult to calm down, because again, they sort of embody passion and passionate response, so possibly a little bit more irrational, less logical, but again, very sympathetic in a way that Tatrasil isn't. Suave, debonair, charming, that sort of thing. So let's start with max out Hellfire's charisma and make them a bard. Yeah, I mean, Hellfire would make a good bard. Absolutely. Kind of, sort of, if you think of, so Tatrasil is kind of in that cleric paladin range, if we're talking in D&D terms. And then we have Drungalith, who is very much sort of the bard rogue territory, because let's be honest, bards and rogues are only a couple feet away from each other on the tree. And then Beastmaster is sort of your druid ranger territory. So to give you some idea of where my thoughts are on that. I had some ideas just sitting here, but I don't know how they will be received. So shout out the first thing you think. Yeah, I mean, go ahead. If your idea is meant for me, I can't promise I will use it, but feel free to shout it out. If it's an idea for you and you just want some feedback, also just shout it out. We'll give you some feedback, but just let me know. Please don't anyone be upset if you shout out an idea to me and I don't take it. I do have preconceptions of these characters coming into things. I'm not necessarily meaning to ignore you or like not take your advice. I'm just kind of building what feels best for the story, but I always appreciate people's input, even if I don't use it. And even if I don't get sparked by anything that you shout out, someone else in the chat might too. I know Bobakiss was having some fun with some fan fiction yesterday in the chat, and I got a message on Facebook by someone who said they were doing a cast for their book after watching streams. So absolutely feel free to share anything and someone will get inspired by it. I guarantee. Where was I? Okay. Extremely charming, passionate, spur of the moment decisions. The first law to make is to fine parents for their children having sex under the age of 18. Interesting choice. And the other thing is to give out a form during the census every year so people can choose where their taxes go. I'm curious as to why you would fine parents for their children having sex under the age of 18, as if that's something parents can control. Or should control. Unless you want it to seem extreme, in which case it definitely seems a little... I remember you said this was for a comic, though, so it depends on what you want the atmosphere to feel like. Because remember I said sometimes you don't want to have the best atmosphere, so if that's something that you're looking for, I don't know if I'm expressing this right, but if that's something that you're looking for, that's definitely, I would say that is definitely to me. I think it's interesting, the idea of choosing where your taxes go. I feel like if that was a real world thing, it would cause some problems. But in terms of like a concept, it's definitely an interesting concept. I wish Ghost was here. He would be such a good person to talk to about this stuff. I've wanted to choose where my taxes go, but do I want other people to choose where their taxes go? Exactly. Well, and what happens if everyone wants their taxes to go to... say road work and no one wants their taxes to go to healthcare, then what does healthcare do, right? Both are important. This is just a random example off the top of my head, but it's like both are important, but everyone wants to pay for one thing and no one wants to pay for the other. Then what do we do? Like, it's a double-edged sword, that one. But if you're trying to create like a political situation in a comic, that's like something that could happen, right? That's something that the characters might have to deal with, is everyone wanted their taxes to go to this, so what do we do about this other project? Do we get private investors for that? And what happens? Does that cause more problems? Like, once we go private the next year, is it too hard to not go private? Like, there's so many possibilities in that. And same with, like, if people are fined for their children having sex under the age of 18, do you have some parents that rebel against that and, like, try to make it easy for the kids to do, like, what they want? And then what if other parents find out and they turn on those parents? Like, there are so many, like, story ideas that you could go down that road, or, like... This is why building like a political system is very interesting. Although the main reason I think it's interesting to find parents is because parents can't necessarily control everything that their kids do at age 16. You'd be fielded a bill every year with the money owed and get to choose where it goes. Oh, interesting. Interesting. But also I understand that if you're 16, you don't necessarily have the money to pay the fine. It's not even that the parents can't control. Well, and to what extent do parents have a right to control their kids when they're 16? Exactly. It opens up a ton of cans of worms. I came from a household that well, and so did my husband, actually, like, the sort of mindset of our parents was teenagers are going to have sex, so educate them, make sure they know what the dangers are, provide them with the means to prevent unwanted pregnancy and STIs, and that's all we can do. And it was I had a very thorough sex education as a teenager. I knew all of the dangers. I knew about pregnancy. I knew that, about the rhythm method and how it's not really the best. I was taught about condoms. I was given condoms into my care in case. And I honestly, as a teenager, did not have sex. But I feel like it was because I made that decision for myself based on my education and my desires. I had friends that were having sex in high school, and they were equally educated by their parents, and they knew the dangers, and they had all the same information that I did. But it's given me a very practical view of that kind of thing as I grow up. Just a very sort of honest, like, yeah, at 16, teenagers are they're not necessarily equipped to make the best decisions, but they are testing their limits, and they're trying to find their place in the world, and they are going to make decisions that you can't control. So you kind of just have to prepare them to make the best decisions, and try to be supportive of the decisions that they make, and make it so that they know that they can come to you if they do get in trouble, because otherwise it's just going to be worse, right? It's a real world problem. A lot of teenage pregnancy is an issue. It's the only thing I could think of. I mean, Megalodon, I'm not necessarily criticizing the idea. I think the fact that it spawned so much conversation proves that it's, you know, it's an earworm, right? It's a brainworm. It's an idea, right? It's something. It is a problem with our society, and, you know, your story is presenting a perspective on it. I have laws for the Illumin Society? What's that? Just working on the human laws. Interesting. Illumin's major law is non-human contact. Oh, are they like aliens? In civilized countries, they have lower rates of teen pregnancy because they have better sex ed. That is true. It has been shown that sex education can lower the rate of teen pregnancy. But that doesn't mean that you have to take that angle in your story. It depends on the kind of society that you're trying to create and tell stories about. You know, you can highlight problems with the real world by, you know, for instance, Exiled Fae pointed out that something like this could be an invasion of privacy for teenagers. There are teenagers in the world today that suffer invasions of privacy by their parents every day. And you can tell a story about that and highlight by showing an invasion of privacy what it's like for a teenager to live with that. And that's a pertinent story too. So it depends on what type of stories you're trying to tell. It's not necessarily, you know, by calling attention to something that's not so great in society, you can point out the problems with those kind of things by telling a story about it. So, trying to come up with some extreme laws and see how I can tell a story through that. Exactly. And if that's what you're trying to do, you are definitely on the right track, Megalodon. Those are the ones that you've talked about. Those are definitely things that can spawn a ton of stories. So absolutely, like, you're definitely on the right track. Okay, so what we were saying, extremely charming, passionate, spur of the moment, empathetic, adept at conversation, The law for non-human contact is from the kind of Cirrus, whose wife drowned, saving a human, which killed her and his unborn child. The king of Cirrus. Ah, yes, I could see how that would make them sort of afraid of contact with humans. Photosynthetic race of beings, not unlike Superman. Oh, interesting! Megalodon, you've clearly been thinking about this comic for some time. These are some really cool ideas. I have to say, too, I don't read a ton of comics, but I would read whatever this comic is about. I would 100% read it, because it's very interesting. So let me see, because I feel like I'm forgetting something. Code of honor, highly predictable, highly unpredictable. Wow, I spelled all those words wrong. I think we have done a good job of covering the things that Drungalith embodies. I think Drungalith is that kind of person who's very people person, very charming, very easy to get along with, but not necessarily like if you're having a bad day, there's someone you can talk to, get a lot of sympathy from, but they're not necessarily always going to tell you the truth. It's not necessarily always going to be easy to know what they think. And if they kind of want to lead you down a certain path, they're very good at doing that. So very adventurous, very passionate, very spur of the moment, but not necessarily as reliable or straightforward as their companions. So their skills are going to be more in, I think, people skills, conversational skills. The Illumined Society is... Hey, Squanchy! Spontaneous combust when sneezes. The Illumined Society is a tribal society with 3 separate kingdoms, all of them rivaling for several different reasons. Cyrus wants to enforce the law of non-human contact. Mavius and Yasiah, the kings of the other 2 tribes, break this law for selfish reasons. Mavius does because he seeks dominion over humans, and Yesiah breaks the law because he is in love with a human. This sounds so cool! Alright, and then abilities. Obviously, if Drungalith is Hellfire. Their domain of magic is going to be fire. Alright, and then we basically have the same history and special information. A remnant of the old world, which was frozen sort of in stasis to await the coming of this prophecy. So I said that with Tetraseal, that Tetraseal was going to test the honor of our main character. I think that Drungaleith is going to test the persuasion of the main character. So they're essentially communicative skills. All right, so there we go. We have that, like Tetraseal, Drungaleith was preserved in stasis by everyone's mother, the goddess, the creator goddess, to sleep until the appointed time. They will test the goddess's daughter's persuasion and diplomacy-related skills, and should she pass the test, they will become her eternal guardian. So we have one more of these to take care of today. Hopefully we can fit it in before I gotta go eat lunch. I'm going to run a little later than I usually do because I started so late because of the issues with Twitch today. But as with yesterday, I think we go pretty quickly through each subsequent one because we have a better idea of what we're looking for. So Beastmaster, as I already have kind of indicated, represents sort of the primal connection, our connection to nature, to animals, to just basically our environment. And as such, Beastmaster is going to be a bit more of a shapeshifter. I think we're going to take, I know Fox had suggested green hair. I think we're going to take that idea because I like the idea of them looking a little bit sort of nature-y. And then in their celestial form, they sort of have a funky beast, a beast form. No actual animal that exists even in this particular world, but sort of a amalgam, a chimera type form that embodies, you know, characteristics of many primal beasts in the same way that the natural forms of all of the other, the humanoid forms of all of the other, sort of embody different types of humanoid traits. And I don't think we've made a full dwarf yet, so I think Beastmaster in their humanoid form is going to be dwarfy. Not going to make him combust. Nobody combusts, although in their celestial form, Drunkaleth is just a giant ball of fire. That's as close to combustion as we get, I think. Did I hydrate Pie? I'm hydrating now if I didn't hydrate before. The name of the story is called Everything Under the Sun. I remember you talking about that. Mavius is the villain, Yesiah is the hero, and Cyrus is the anti-hero with a tragic backstory. I already planned the sequel to explore humanity, June, and the answer for a major death in the first book. That's awesome, Megalodon. This sounds so cool. I know I keep saying that, but it just does. It sounds really cool. Sounds like my kind of story. All right, so I've shown you some concept pictures for the other characters. I have a lot of concept characters for Beastmaster because I just sort of got a lot of different generic ideas to sort of pull together. So I like the idea that in their natural form, they'll have some form of antlers. Sort of like if you've ever played a druid in D&D, whenever a druid shapeshifts, whenever they use the wild shape form, they have something from their home environment, from their home biome that stays with them, some kind of marker that they're a druid. And one of my favorite ones to use is antlers. So I think our Beastmaster is going to have antlers. I also like the idea of them having markings, like tiger-like markings or something like that. And I think we're going to go with the green hair so that their hair looks kind of viney. And I had talked before about how for my dwarves, I always like the ladies to have beards as well. But I think since we're going for embodying a bunch of different aspects, they're going to have a dwarven-like stature, but without like the usual facial hair, because they're not actually a dwarf. They just embody some of those aspects, right? So I also have a couple of pins for their beast form, because I was trying to sort of come up with a bestial form. I don't remember what I saved that for, but we will find out at some point. So yeah. Let's get a name. Do we have shapeshifter names? Satyr and fawn names? That might work. Shapeshifter names? Heck yeah. I don't know that I like these. These are more like words. So let's see. Let's see what the satyr and fawn names look like. Cyrillic is interesting. I like the look of this name, but I don't know how I would say it. Preclathia? Maybe? I like Skrillex. I do like Skrillex. We might use that. And I'm not seeing anything that I like better, so maybe we will use that one. Skrillex, aka Beastmaster. Whoops, AKD. Beastmaster. I ask a lot of people, but the island they live on is called Candelar. What do you think of the name? I like it. I think it's a cool name. The story was inspired by Superman, Vegeta, Harry Potter, and Resident Evil. Weird combo. Hey, that's what you do, right? You grab inspiration from a bunch of different places and put it together. Who else has done those combos, right? Naldalushi? Oh, interesting, Pi. Naldalushi is what the natives would call a skinwalker. Interesting. Is that like a real world term, Pi? Let's grab our templates. One last time. Oh, interesting. So I tend to try to avoid using too many real world terms in my fantasy books unless I've done research on them. But that's really interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. Because I'm very interested in learning about those. I probably said it horribly wrong. I'm interested in learning about it and seeing if it would be a concept I'd want to go with. Candelar is candlestick. Oh, that makes sense. It's a very pretty name. In their humanoid form, shorter than their fellows. I tried to write their and hair at the same time instead of their hair, which was very interesting. Shoulder length green hair, bound or braided to look like vines. So we have shoulder length hair, green, braided or bound, and animal-esque features such as sharpened teeth, long nails similar to claws, and a pair of deer-like antlers that rise from their head. And then we want to... I kind of like the idea of them having darker skin, sort of like dusky skin, and then and then have lighter, like tiger-like stripes, right? I think I read a book actually one time where there was a cat girl character named Nal. Um... And I think we'll give them very cat-like eyes. So maybe we'll give them, what colors should we make the eyes, actually? We could make them a kind of gold color. We could actually give them heterochromia and have them have one eye that is one color and one eye that is another color. Could do... Did I actually give Drungalith an eye color? I don't think I did. Pointed ears, curving horns. Go like legs, hoofed feet. I didn't. Curving horns. What color eyes should I give them, yo? Although I kind of like the idea of maybe they just have black eyes. Like they don't really have a colored portion of their eye. Their eye is just kind of black. Since we are specifically trying to make these characters a bit weird. I don't know if I want the Illumines to have hair color changes like Saiyans or for them to have an aura that glows around them. It's really hard to envision how they look. Interesting. I could see benefits in each, especially considering dark-skinned Illumines are stronger because of their long sun exposure. Interesting. I could give them one gold eye and one gray eye pie. Do you think that might be cool? Yeah, we could do like a gold eye and like a smoky gray eye. And I think the different colored eyes, you do you, I'm just throwing stuff at you. I appreciate it, Pi. I do. I think that the antlers and the eyes will stay. Cats very often have heterochromia, actually. And since we're giving the character cat-like eyes, I think that makes sense. So the personality for Skrillex is a little bit different from the personality of the other two, because we're kind of going for primal stuff here. So I think Skrillex is very in tune with nature, very quiet, very meditative, probably a little enigmatic in the way that they speak, right? So probably when they say something, it's like they say something that is either nonsense or super meaningful. Because they're just sort of that kind of person. Not necessarily comfortable in large crowds, but probably very good individually. Probably sort of more balanced than their companions in terms of logic versus passion. But will always kind of make the decision that is most balanced toward nature and the environment as well as people. I'm trying to think of other sort of... The sort of person who never takes more than they need, always tries to give back when they've taken, that sort of druidic nature, I think. Very respectful of the environment, of plants and animals, as well as people. Less fond of civilization, but not necessarily to the point of burn it all down. I've wanted to do zombies that reproduce via cannibalism. Well, that's terrifying! I went against that idea because of the oversaturation of zombies. Zombies have been very popular for a long time now, I will say. But before zombies, it was vampires, and everything was vampires. So I like the idea of red eyes. Ooh. I'm stuck between Saiyans, Kryptonians, and angels. And what makes them distinct? Ooh, red eyes is a good one. Make them a cannibal or refer to themselves in third person. I don't think any of the Celestials are going to be cannibals because there's only 3 of them and there wouldn't be any of them there wouldn't be anything for them to cannibalize. Right, and then we have to do, I forgot, before I go to personality, I have to do their animal form. So I had a couple of ideas for Beastmaster's animal form. We're done with names for now. I saved this because I like the kind of dragon-y thing. But I was thinking something that's a weird cross between like a cat and a bird. I liked the idea of something that has many tails, probably sort of barbed tails, because that would sort of be like whip tails, because that would be their weapon. Although I did like the idea of, you know, sort of the peacock feathers. I don't want it to look like something, I don't want it to look like a necessarily a real creature. But I do want it to be sort of an amalgamation of several different creatures. So I was thinking maybe like the core body of a cat with feathered wings. Oh yeah, we were gonna give... You know what? I didn't give our demon dude wings, but I don't know if they need them. In all honesty. So we could go like a cross between, we could do like a kind of cat dragon thing. I do like that idea. So, elongated. All right, so we went with like a cat dragon, scales that have that same stripe pattern. Their skin is the color of their hair. In their humanoid form, they've got claws, they've got these 3 long wicked barbed tails, and they've got the bat-like wings that allow them to fly. So I think that's what we're gonna go with for the beast form, and of course those antlers are always there. Kademon, hello! How are you? What is up? What are you up to today? What color of dragon? I mean, I decided to go with green, so they're just the color of their hair in their human form. But they're not really a dragon, so it's not necessarily the color of their scales doesn't necessarily indicate anything. So what did we say? Skrillex is just home. I'll write more tomorrow on both my stories, my sci-fi and erotic novel. Nice! Nice. I'm running a bit late on stream today because we ended up starting late because there were tons of problems with OBS this morning. I think Twitch tried to update something and kind of broke everything and then possibly reverted it. Humans that turn into dragons, now that's cool. I imagine something like how vampires turn into bats. Yeah, that's the idea. So Skrillex is sort of supposed to be a shapeshifter. And I think making them dwarfy makes sense because then they're also closer in size to like when they switch to their Beastmaster form. I'm going very druidy with this one. Sort of taking that idea of being really in tune with nature and really in tune with the animals and that sort of thing, because I kind of wanted that to be one of, so we have sort of a incarnation of truth and honor which are straightforward but also rigid, and then we have someone who is sort of the incarnation of passion and going with the flow and that kind of thing, but also a little bit deception-y. And then we have sort of this primal connection that's very focused on the environment and balance and sort of the glue that holds everything else together. And that's sort of what I wanted with Skrillex, is someone who's very middle of the road, but always thinking of the things that the others don't really, right? Always thinking of the effect on the environment and how what they're doing is going to affect the future of that space, right? So we have trying to live in harmony and balance with nature, always in tune with plants and animals, more comfortable with them than around humans. So we have their personality, and so their skills are going to be very much hunting, tracking, gardening, anything that we would associate with nature, living off the land, survival skills, that sort of thing. Humans that turn into dragons. Oh, I read that. Something that seems benevolent and meek but turns into a beast is a cool idea. Imagine something elf-like. Yeah! If you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, one of my favorite classes, although I haven't played them in a long time, is the Druid. And that's sort of the idea behind the Druid, is that you are a human or an elf or a dwarf or whatever, but you're so in tune with nature and you're so in touch with the magic in nature that you can actually speak with animals, take animal form, and that's sort of one of the primary things that druids use in combat is their beast form, because you actually get a whole extra HP bar and you get to take on the skills of the animal. And as you get more and more powerful as a druid, you can turn into more and more powerful creatures, as long as you've encountered them somewhere, right? You learn how to take the form of swimming animals, and you learn how to take the form of flying animals. And as a druid, when you transform into an animal, you maintain your intelligence, which is not something that a wizard can do. If you polymorph as a wizard, you become as intelligent as the creature that you've polymorphed into. So druids can be very powerful and versatile, especially if you are a Circle of the Moon druid, which focuses very heavily on the beast mastery aspect. There are other types of druids, of course, but that's very much the inspiration for Skrillex here, is the idea of someone who's so in tune with nature, so in tune with the animal world that they can take on that animal aspect and actually use it to their advantage. So we have skills. So I'm also giving them that kind of innate nature sense, which allows them to always to always know what is north, to always be able to find where they are no matter how lost they are. So that's sort of their innate ability. And then I think for their School of Magic, we're going to go with Earth, because that's the only thing that really makes sense. And this is basically it, and perfect timing too. So we are going to take, as we did before, we're going to take their history. And Skrillex, I think, is probably... I don't know that I want to say survival is what they're testing. So we have Tetraseal is sort of testing Aleath's honor, Aleath's ability to choose a path and have integrity on that path. And then Drungaleith is sort of testing Aleith's ability to connect with others, to lead others, to understand others, that sort of diplomacy and conversational skill. And I think Skrillex is there to test Aleith's awareness of the environment and her effect on the environment and how her decisions affect the environment. So they're sort of there to test that sort of primal connection with the earth and all things that life flow from, which is hard to distill into a single word, but I'm going to say that they're there to test the primal connection. Nasal Cactus, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. How are you? And what are you up to today? We are just wrapping up some character creation here. I'm gonna have to go eat some lunch after this, but I think this has gone very well. I am pretty pleased with how character creation has gone. I'm really excited to start getting into, and I have to kind of decide where I'm gonna go from here. I do want to write down a bit about the Watchers and the Mage Council, and I think when we do the Mage Council is when we're going to expand a little bit more on how magic works in this, and why things are sort of grouped into the schools that they are, and how what each school sort of entails. And so I think we might do that. This is going to be my last stream for this week because I got some stuff coming up, and also my husband just kind of took a hard hit today, so I want to be available for him when he needs me. But next week, I think we'll do that. We'll do the Watchers, who I have said are basically a cult. So we're going to develop them a little bit. We're going to talk about the Mage Council and how magic works. And then I'm going to sort of start trying to get a rough outline of what the plot of, and I think I'm going to try and do the first 2 books because I think they're going to be heavily connected. And so I'm going to try and start roughing out the outline for book 1 so that we know what locations we need to fill in. Hello, just doing some bio writing myself, but for the dogs at the rescue I work for. That's awesome, Nasal Cactus. I think it's so awesome that you work with rescue dogs. I have always wanted to foster rescues, but my husband is deathly allergic to everything, fur, dander, all that stuff. But I have nothing but respect for people who do that kind of work because it must be so hard. But good luck writing those bios. Every time I've ever read a bio for a rescue or a shelter animal, you guys do amazing work. And if I could adopt all of them, I would. What's for lunch today? Probably something simple like a turkey sandwich, in all honesty. It's my night to cook tonight. For dinner, I'm going to try something new. I made a pumpkin curry soup. And on the advice of our good friend Flannel, I'm going to add some sausage to that and turn it into a pasta sauce. So we're going to try that out as a pasta tonight, but lunch is usually just something simple, turkey sandwich and some vegetables. It's a lot of work, but it lets me exercise my writing muscles. Nice. I do screenwriting. That's awesome. I don't know much about screenwriting myself, because I know that it's a different beast from novel writing, but that is awesome. It allows me to exercise my writing muscles even when we're busy. Nice, yeah, and I'm glad you get to do that. What was I doing? Skrillex. A remnant of the old world. Perfect, and then we want them to be there to test that primal connection. If you're ever interested, I highly recommend the book Save the Cat. Great breakdown story beats. I've heard of Save the Cat. I have a pretty developed system at this point for myself that I use. But I know a lot of people who really like Save the Cat. I don't necessarily use a chart. I tend to just kind of rough out my ideas and then fill in my holes. And once I go back to do my edits, I start looking at my plot structure then. But I do know a lot of people who really like Save the Cat. So Skrillex. Whoops. Someday I'm going to learn to spell these names that we made up today. And should she pass the test, Skrillex will become her eternal guardian. So we basically have these three remnants of the old world who have been put in Aleth's path, initially to test her and eventually to guide and protect her. And I think, so I'll talk about this. Let me just do these links quick. I have a very rough idea of what the first half of the story is going to be. And I kind of just need to decide where that first book is going to end, and what the main challenge is in the first book and what it is in the second book. Because right now I kind of have two books running together in my brain, and I need to kind of pull them apart a little bit. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. And see where they go. And I don't mind, usually I don't talk too much about spoilers, but since we're going to be outlining and writing this book on stream, I don't mind talking about it a little bit more. Perfect. Oh yeah, you guys weren't able to see just the history. I've basically sort of copied the history and other important information for all three of these characters because they sort of all serve the same purpose. But the idea is that our character Aleth here, I kind of talked about this yesterday. We start out the novel, the very first thing we see is Aleth wounded and exhausted, walking down a city street. We see a bunch of people surrounding, like normal people surrounding the street, sort of looking at her and not helping her and making a conscious decision not to get involved because they know that she is the avatar of a goddess. She is the daughter of the goddess, everyone's mother, the creator goddess, and that she has to fulfill a prophecy, and everyone is sort of afraid of what the fulfillment of that prophecy will lead to because no one knows exactly if she's what she will do, if she will revive the creator goddess, if she will change society. People are basically afraid of what could happen, so they don't help her. She is sort of drawn away from the pilgrimage that she is on by this mage council who is interfering with her, trying to bend her to their will, trying to manipulate the journey that she's on. And while she is sort of being subverted or diverted from this path that she's on, she encounters Jeolith, the magically tainted sorcerer, who offers to help her on her quest. But unbeknownst to her, he is tainted by some form of ancient magic that he inadvertently stumbled on during a ritual that he shouldn't have been doing. And he has been sent by the Mage Council that she is arguing with to manipulate her quest, even though he appears on the surface to be helpful. The two of them are watched on their journey by Ciri, a goddess in training, who believes that she is safeguarding the future, the destiny of her planet and her people. She has been indoctrinated into this cult that essentially they believe that they are protecting the outcome of events, that things are supposed to happen a certain way and only they know the way things are supposed to go. They hide in the shadows and use powerful magic to manipulate people onto certain paths, and they wish to do this to Aleth. And Ciri, this goddess in training, has been sent to watch her progress and to interfere with her when necessary. So we have these major powers. We have everyone's mother, the creator goddess, and the church that she left behind. We have the Mage Council, who sort of represent and govern all of the mages in the world, and we have these hidden watchers who believe that they are creating the ideal future for everyone, and they are all sort of trying to manipulate Aleth's path, trying to prevent her from fulfilling her quest or to force her to fulfill it in a certain way. And basically, Aleth's initial attempt at this pilgrimage is blighted, is abandoned because it was interfered with. She takes Jeolith with her. She goes back to the beginning of the pilgrimage. She starts again, determined to fulfill this prophecy, if only because she wants it out of her life. And as she goes along the path, she is drawn to the Cave of the Three Sleeping Knights, a place which she has passed through before. But the first time she passed through, nothing happened. The second time when she passes through, she awakens the 3 guardians of the cave, the people that we made today, Tatrasil, Drungalith, and Skrillex, and they test her as part of this pilgrimage that she's on. I think that's going to be most of the first book. I'm not entirely sure where the first book is going to end, because I'm not entirely sure how long the testing is going to take or at what point on the path, because I don't think they stay in the cave the whole time. I think these people, these 3 sleeping knights, awaken and accompany Aleath on her journey, and they test her along the way. So that's kind of the idea of what the first book is going to be about. And like I said, we might start roughing that in very soon so that we can start figuring out the places that we need to develop and have some idea for before we start writing. Hey Janine, how's everyone? I finally figured out everything about the bad guys. I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to hear you figured out your bad guy. Is it Blivik Peach? I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Is it Black Peach? Peach, hello. Thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. That's basically an outline of the first book in this series. That's what we're going to be developing as we go along. That's kind of what I have so far. So if it seems very bare bones, that's because it is. But that's what we're working on. And I'm really excited to keep digging into this a bit more, because as I'm talking about it on stream, as I'm writing out these bios and starting to think about these sort of deeper concepts, the story is sort of gelling together in my mind. And I'm really excited to actually start outlining it and see where it goes. She fulfills the prophecy. She will end all life. People don't know. That's the thing. They don't know if the world is ending or just changing. And even I don't really know what the fulfillment of the prophecy does. I'm not there yet. So we'll find that out together. This was super fun. Thanks to everyone who hung out. I really appreciate it. I do have to go now. I'm super hungry. I can feel my tummy rumbling. I need to get some lunch, and I just need to kind of go be around for Ghost. For any of you guys who came in later in the stream who don't know, Ghost is having a bit of a rough day today. He has had to cancel his streams. He's okay. I'm okay. He just got some kind of hard-hitting news, and he just needs a little bit of time to himself. But also, if you could send him some love, if you're on the Discord, and you want to just throw some love into his little announcement area there where he posted, just throw your best heart emotes, your best hug emotes, just send some good thoughts and good vibes his way, to lift him through the day. I'd appreciate that. But I'm gonna go be around in case he needs me for anything. So let's see who's around. Got commercials? I missed what you said. I said I'm glad you figured out the bad guy, and I'm doing pretty good. We're actually wrapping up the stream. I still need to try and fix that. I looked at my settings and I have everything turned down to like the lowest setting, so I don't know why it's playing so many ads. But I had so much trouble with Twitch this morning that it's been a day for sure. It's been a day. Let's see who is streaming. Ooh, Sable is on. And Comf is on. Oh goodness. Who do we want to raid? I don't get to raid Comf very often. So let's see who is doing what today. Comf is doing Pomodoro sprints, which is, she doesn't do specifically writing related streams, but she does do focus. She's super awesome and super chill. And we also have Sable and Aaron, but I think I did raid them fairly recently. I'm gonna do a shout out for Sable because she's awesome. I actually got to meet and hang out with her and Aaron They're super great people. They run the Game of Tomes, which is something that I did this past month in July, and it will happen again in November. So check them out. They're super awesome. But I think we're going to go raid Comf because I don't get to raid her very often. Our streams are usually very opposite. I think there's a way you can set commercials manually. There is, but I've looked at it and I honestly don't understand why it's doing what it's doing, because I feel like I have everything set to the minimum. Like, I have it turned all the way down to the smallest amount of ads per hour, and I have pre-roll ads turned off. Maybe I should turn pre-roll ads back on so that it's like, it just gets it over with. I can't figure out why it's doing kind of what it's doing, but I'm trying. I swear to you guys, I'm trying. But today I couldn't even get OBS to connect to my Twitch account for the longest time. So if today was a little bit of a disaster and if I was a little bit all over the place, that's mostly why. It was a weird, hectic morning. And then you can so you can manually play commercials during BRB breaks. I'm gonna ask Ghost about that, because that's what I want, is for it to play ads when I'm AFK. So I might see if I can try to figure that out. Thank you, Janine. I appreciate it. I just want you to know that I have looked at it and I am trying. I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm a little bit incompetent. OBS was totally borked today. I tried to go live and it said that it couldn't connect to my account. And so we have a friend who uses Streamlabs instead of OBS, and we asked him if he could connect, and he was like, no, it's giving me the same error. And Ghost was getting the same error. So we spent about 15 minutes trying to fix it, and finally I was like, I'll just push the stream. And as soon as I announced that I was going to push the stream, Ghost came running up the stairs and was like, it's working now. So I was like, okay, I'll do a bit of a late stream, see if I can compress things a bit. But just use /advertisement or something like that. It plays the ad. Interesting. Thank you, Pi. I'm trying to get this stuff figured out. But yeah, it seems like, I don't know for sure, but it seems to me like Twitch is trying to update something in the API and it borked everything. Because everything I found was like, if you're using the latest version of OBS, it should work. And I have the latest version of OBS and it wasn't working. But I was like, people are streaming, so I don't know if it only affected people who weren't streaming at the time. But if you're trying to stream today, good luck. Twitch/OBS/Streamlabs are having a day, so I wish you all the best. I'm just glad I was able to come and hang out because this was amazing. It was so much fun. I did a shout out for Sable. Check her out. Check her and Aaron out. They are amazing, wonderful people. But I did raid them, I think, last week, and I don't get to raid Comf often. So we're going to head over and introduce you to Comf. She's super awesome, super chill. Like I said, she doesn't do writing specific streams, but she does focus. She has a little thing where you can add a task to the list and you can cross it off when you're done. And at the end of stream, she looks at how many tasks everyone has done. She's super awesome. She also does gaming streams in the evening sometimes as well when she finishes her focus. Judy Dawn is another writer stream you can check out. Awesome. Let me do a shout out. Shout out Judy Dawn. And I will check them out as well. Let's get the raid started. I'm probably going to have to. I'm also, one of the reasons I'm raiding Comf is I know she won't mind if I raid and dip, which I kind of got to do because I got to go get some food. And I always feel bad when I instantly have to be like, hi, goodbye. But I've got Judy Dawn up as well, and I will check her out as soon as I am back at my computer. Here are some raid calls you can use. Feel free to use any emotes that make you happy. That's really what it's about, is just spreading the love. As I said, I am probably done with streaming for this week. We've got some stuff going on, but I'm hoping to be back next week, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're going to do more outlining of this novel, and then we are going to move on to, we're also going to do some more, I haven't been doing my writing prompts lately. So we're hopefully going to do story, I think 15 of 22 for the 22 stories in 2022. And soon we're hopefully going to move on to more writing. I know I haven't been writing in a while. There's been a lot of editing. There's been a lot of other weird streams. But we're hopefully going to get back to writing and do writing to the end of the year, which I'm really looking forward to because it's kind of my favorite part of the process. For now, have a good day, friends. Take care. I love you all. You're all amazing. And I'll see you all next week.